Okay, so this is how to make reflections like this and this in Roblox Studio. Let's begin. Do you want to learn how to make these reflections? Well, before we begin, it's important to know that these only work on interiors. If you bring them outside, it will just reflect the skybox. But inside, they look pretty cool. But how do we make them? So first, you want to make a new material variant. So go up to here, click on the material manager, and then create material variant. Add that, find it. Now, all we need is to change the metalness and the roughness map. The metalness, you want to import or use a white image. And for the roughness, you want to import or use a black image. And if I just duplicate this, apply it, you'll see that it's reflective. And that's really it. But there are a lot of cool little things that you can do to tweak the texture. Like, as you can see, all of these here. Let's first talk about the normal maps. Now, the normal maps warp how the light is reflected. So I would only recommend using these in very specific circumstances. So you can see it can create some pretty weird looking results. Now, to get normal maps, all you want is one of these colors and just plug it into the normal map. Just copy the decal, then paste it in here. Then you wait for it to load and it will create a normal map. Now, all of these different colors will warp the reflection differently. Now, to create these different variants like this, like a little less sharp, a little more dull, what you want to do is to darken or lighten the color of the roughness and metalness maps. Now, to do that, as you can see here, the roughness is gray instead of black, and that creates a more dulled, a less sharp result. Now, to make it dull out like this, what you want to do is decrease the metalness. As you can see here, this just goes through the gradient, slightly less reflective each time. So I would recommend creating a little color palette like this, and then just plug in the decal values into the materials to see how they look. Now, I will be making some model and linking it in the description. So if you want to know how to quickly create these materials, just open up the model I linked, go to this folder, select all of these, copy it, then just paste it into the material service. Then you'll see all of these pop up. That's how to quickly do it. Okay, so if you want reflections that reflect outside, you'll have to do a couple little tricks. First, just add in a part, just scale it like that. Then make sure this part is set to a glass material like that. Then make sure the transparency is 2. It has to be at least 2. You can go up to 200 or something, but it has to be at least 2. Then go in and add in a highlight. Then set this highlight transparency to 1, the outline transparency to 1, and boom. As you can see, there's a weird little effect going on, as if it's like magnifying it a little bit. To increase this effect, you can go into this part transparency, just set this to like 30. You see it becomes more distorted, more warped, and creates a weird little reflection. But there are ways to improve this. So first, we need to make a custom material. So you can just Google in, I'm just going to do an asphalt texture, then just download any of these. I'll just do this one, save it, then go into a photo editing software. I'll be using Photopea, then just open up that texture you downloaded. Here it is. Now, to create a puddle-like effect, you want to add in little transparent areas. And the way I typically do that is I just duplicate this, hide that, add in a raster mask, then I select this brush, make sure it works good, increase the size a little bit, just create little splotches like this. Okay, that's good enough for me. If this was for an actual game, obviously you could spend more time. Then I just add in a little Gaussian blur to feather out the edges a little bit better. The more you do this, the more subtle the puddle will look, the less drop off it'll have. Then for this background one, you want to set it to like about 30% transparency like that. But honestly, set it a little bit more, set it to like 40. Okay, then just download this texture. And another thing you can do is create a normal map. So to do that, go into this website. I'll link it below in case you want to use it. So just load in the image you created. Then I like increasing the bias a little bit. I say about 70 works, and just save it. Also create a normal map of just the regular texture without the holes in it, and save that too. Okay, once you're back here, add in a mesh part to workspace. Now I add in a mesh part instead of regular part because I can add in a surface appearance, which is what I want to use for this. Go to surface appearance, and on the color map, add in that image you just downloaded and wait for it to load. Okay, once it loads in like this, you can increase this part size as much as you want. Okay, make sure the alpha mode is set to transparency. Let that load. Now you can also add in your normal map. So just add in the image, choose the file, and like that. That way it creates just a little bit more depth. Okay, once you're done with that, what I typically do is make this pretty thin. Now we want to use this reflective material that we made before. You know, make sure this is scaled accordingly. Okay, and also make this one thin too. Then what we want to do is move this one on top of that transparent material like that. You can already see that there are some reflections going on. But what I typically do is duplicate this material, then make this surface appearance the original image without any holes. So just add in the normal and the original image, then you'll see the holes go away. Okay, now with this texture, you want to drag it underneath the top layer and the reflective layer, so it's at the bottom like that. And there you go, that's how you make it. Now to change how it reflects, you can always just decrease this transparency. There you go. Player models will reflect reflecting this as well. So that's another neat bonus. Also, what you should do with the reflective part, since it has a highlight, Roblox Studio only limits 50 highlights. So what you can do is just disable it there. The effect will still work, but you can just stack as many of these as you want now. And that's how you make it. If you found this video helpful, please like the video. Goodbye now.